Okay, my name is John F. Lisella. I'm 85 years old right now. I went to flying school, graduated class of 55 Romeo out of Laredo, Texas. From Laredo, I went to Kirtland Air Force Base and checked out in the F-84G. Was assigned to a test squadron there. We were the Nuclear Cloud Sampling Unit out of 4925th Test Group in Albuquerque, Kirtland Air Force Base. From there, we went to deployed to Inuitak in the Marshall Islands, and our job was to fly through the nuclear bomb clouds and pick up samples of debris in the clouds, and then we bring the samples back and they're sent out to Los Alamos, Sandia Corporation and the rest, and they use that to determine the yield of the weapon. Up until that point, they could only measure the size of the fireball, and that gave them a very rough order of yield. When they had the debris that we picked up in the clouds, they could very precisely tell the yield of the weapon. So we sampled about a dozen nuclear clouds in Inuitak and Bikini, and then on other occasions, when we deployed back to Kirtland, we went up to Indian Springs, now Creech Air Force Base, and we flew in some of the test units up there at Creech. From there, went to Luke and Nellis, got qualified in the F-100, and from Nellis went to RAF Lakenheath, 48th TAC Fighter Wing, and that's where I got in the F-100 business. Spent 3 years there at Lakenheath, deployed back to AFIT, Air Force Institute of Technology. They sent me to George Washington University for a year and got a master's degree in business administration. From there to Langley Air Force Base in the requirements business at the Tactical Air Command. From there to Vietnam, and I flew with Colonel Bob Titus, who was our squadron commander. We were the Scotia Tiger guys. We flew F-5s in Vietnam for a year. And from there back to the Pentagon working for Major General then Glosser, soon Lieutenant General Glosser. And we spent a good 4 years in the Pentagon. And from the Pentagon, I went to the National War College at Fort McNair. After the National War College, went to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in the systems development programs there. And after Wright-Pat, went back to Air Force Systems Command at Andrews Air Force Base. I was the Deputy Chief of Staff for Test and Evaluation for 3 years, and after that, I retired. An interesting story, while I was stationed in the 48th Wing, at the time, my good friend George Peterson and I thought we knew how to play golf a little bit, and we decided to figure out a way to go up to St. Andrews and play golf there. We were, of course, in England, St. Andrews up in Scotland, and we decided to get an Air Force airplane. It was a Aero Club airplane out at Mildenhall Air Base. So we checked out in the airplane, which was an L-20, a high-wing airplane, and we got our wives and we got the airplane, threw all our golf clubs in the back, and we took off from Mildenhall, heading up to Lucas Naval Air Station, which is just outside of where the Andrews golf course was. So George is navigating and I'm flying, and the ladies are in the back seat. And we finally get up as we're heading into Lucas Naval Air Station, and we had to cross what is called a body of water called the Firth of Froth, or Firth of Roth, I don't remember exactly. But we looked down and we saw on this body of water extremely high whitecaps. And I told George, I said, it looks like we got some heavy winds down there. And I said, maybe we ought to find out which the direction the winds are, because we had a very limited crosswind capability in that airplane. And sure enough, the winds were direct cross, about 35 knots, which is way above the limits for the L-20. So I told George, find us a place where we can go and divert, because we can't land at Lucas, and we couldn't find anything. So I said, well, ask the tower operator if we can land across the runway, because we had a capability. That airplane, you could land in the sod. And come to find out that they had just finished digging trenches down the side of the runway. They were putting new runway lighting in. And so George looked at me, he said, we have no option. We got to land there, come hell or high water. So we gave it a shot. We told the ladies to get really strapped in the back. In our final approach, we tried the best crosswind technique we had, which wasn't quite good enough, and the airplane started a great big whifferdille on the runway. We almost drug a wing, but what was really funny, the women in the back seat were screaming like hell. We finally got the airplane under control, but we couldn't taxi it. The winds were that strong. So we stopped it right there, and they sent out a pick-me-up truck, and we got everybody on board safely. The funny part, the lady said, screw you guys, we're taking a train back to Lakenheath. We're not flying back. But they did anyway. But we had a good time playing golf. And it was a great memory. And George, as a matter of fact, wrote a great big story about it for one of his classes in getting his degree at the university, wherever it was. Kind of an interesting thing.
But the funniest part was, I'm sorry to interrupt, about the guy telling you riding cowboy.
Oh yeah, the tower operator, George tells the story better than I do, but the tower operator saw what was going on and in his best British accent said, "Riding cowboy." We didn't think it was funny at the time.
I didn't either.